Hi, everybody, and welcome to a special edition of Be in the Know. We're kind of celebrating this big championship weekend, and I was wondering, man, I've been losing so bad on these sports. I needed help, and I'm thinking, who can I get to get me through this championship weekend? And I thought of no other than the master, Derek Stevens of Circa Sports. Who better to get the B man a couple winners this weekend? So, Derek Stevens, welcome to Be in the Know.
Hey Benny, how you doing? Good to talk to you again. Great to see you. Great to see you not that long ago, but great to see you here on Be in the Know.
Oh yeah, well, I had a great time, Derek. I wanted to thank you again for inviting us to that. I think it was a Monday night party we had there at Circa, the greatest sports book in the world, folks. Well, let's talk about that. Circa, third year straight, named the Global Gaming Awards Best Casino. You got to be proud about that, don't you, Derek?
Well, yeah, I mean that's pretty cool. I kind of thought when we had the when we got notified that we ought to show up, I kind of was wondering. I mean, there's some big properties that have just opened, so that was pretty cool. Yeah, so it's nice to know that that we won the award, and for us, well, hopefully it drives a little bit of business, you know.
Listen, folks, if you're planning a trip to Vegas and you don't check out and stay at Circa, you're missing something. You're really taking a lot away from your experience because this is like none other. I mean, I'm not tooting your horn, Derek, but I stayed there last trip and I was just absolutely blown away. And it takes a lot to blow the B man away, but I was blown away by everything: the service, the rooms, the quality of the food, the quality of the service, the quality of the sports book, the uh, stadium swim. God, forget about it. It's just crazy. And I got one question: when are we going to see Circa East? That's what.
Well, right now, we're pretty focused on I'll tell you, we're focused on a couple of things. We've launched our Circus Sports brand in Colorado, Iowa. In October, we launched in Illinois. Hopefully, in the next few months, we're going to be launching in Kentucky. So that'll be our fifth state. So we're excited about growing the Circus Sports brand. And we look forward to adding a number of additional states to that over the course of the next let's say 12 to 24 months. So that's the one element that we're definitely growing in other states in. With regards to Circa, I think our big project here this year is when we built Circa. We opened in the middle of the pandemic in October of 2020. And when we did that, we did it with a multi-phased approach, and we tried to do it in a way where people didn't really see that when we opened Circa, it was really a phase one. So we opened phase two last year, which is our meeting space and our ballrooms. That's on the third floor of Circa. So when we originally opened, nobody really knew it was there. So we opened that a little bit more than a year ago, and the meeting space business has been great. It's been great for the property because it really brings people in, particularly when you need them the most, which is Mondays through Thursdays. And because we're so sports orientated, from Thursday nights through Sunday nights, we're in pretty good shape. So the meeting space really kind of helped out utilize the assets, kind of around the week, around the clock type of thing. But that was just phase two. Phase three, when we built Circa, there's in the tower, we shelled out seven floors that were just empty. And the reason we did that is because we weren't sure what exactly those floors should be. And we kind of felt like we needed to understand how the building and how the business, how it felt and how it ran. We didn't know if we were going to need all these additional floors of just suites or all the additional floors of standard rooms or of hospitality suites or bunk bed rooms. So we made the decision in the last quarter that we are going to start the project to finish off four more floors at Circa that are about halfway up the tower. And we're going to add another 103 keys to the project to Circa here that should be open by the end of this year. So be in the know. You're the first person, Benny, I'm telling this to outside of our
Wow.
guys that work here.
An exclusive. Wow,
There you
Derek.
go.
I mean, I appreciate that. And I got to think a person who's looking for convention space or anything, they come down to, like somebody says, hey, you need to check this place out downtown. And they go down there and they're like, oh, I don't know if I should go down there. And then they get to Circa and they're like, oh my God, what is this gem? Is this? It's what a secret, And now they get the edge, and I'm very excited for your convention business and everything you got going on there. So let's talk about Circa Sports. So you guys just ended Circa Millions and Circa Survivor for what year is this? Third, fourth year?
It was Circa Millions 5 and Circa Survivor 4.
Okay. Yeah, those two contests are fantastic and bring a lot of excitement, and a lot really. I think you get more publicity than what you think because there's people here in Erie, Pennsylvania, talking about Circa Survivor. Now that might be due to the reach of VSIN. They seem to get the message out pretty well. So let me ask you this question. I heard a rumor that somebody was trying to buy the Survivor from you. Is that true?
Well, we've had a lot of inquiries. There's a lot of groups that have an interest in it and are kind of trying to understand what the rules are, what the legalities are. People that would like to buy into it. And my joke is, why would you want to buy into something? We don't take a rake. You know, we kind of do this for another reason. And the reason is the fact that we started this up in a state that does not have remote registration, does not have remote funding. So you have to show up to one of our sports books in the state of Nevada to sign up. And that's the gaff. It's not much more than that. It's like that's the gaff. Really for us, having people, schedule some of their summer trips in July and August to come visit Circa or stay at the D or something like that, and then sign up for Circa Millions or Circa Survivor. That's kind of the whole deal. We want people to come and visit and stay with us. So that's the gaff right there, and that's why we do this with no rake in it at all. So yeah, I guess to answer your question, I've had a lot of people come up and ask, "Hey, can we buy in?" or "How do we take this national?" And a lot of really good ideas. Some aren't practical because they're not legal, things like that. But all really good ideas. So whatever rumors you may have heard, there's probably something to them.
Well, I tell you what, you come up with some of the greatest marketing ideas, Derek. I mean, I'm not tooting your horn, but it's crazy. I mean, you're kind of like me. I mean, I got crazy ideas about table games and casino operations, and you got this marketing mind. It's just crazy. So let's move on. Let's move on. I don't want. I know your time's valuable. I got to get into these conference championships. All right. Now you're a Detroit born and raised guy, so I mean, I think you got loyal. Did you go watch we were in Detroit last week? Were you not?
Yeah, we took a crew from Vegas. We just did a little round trip because we had to cross the country. We had to leave. Some people would say very early Sunday morning. I'm still of the thought process that 1 a.m. is late Saturday night. We went from the bar right to the plane and flew to Detroit and had a great old tailgate and then watched a great game and came back. So yeah, we were in Detroit last weekend and we'll be doing the same thing this weekend with a little quick jaunt up to San Francisco.
Okay, so let's save the NFC. Let's move on to the AFC. How do you see this playing out this weekend between the Ravens and the Chiefs?
I think Ravens and the Chiefs, from a betting angle, is a great story, and the reason is you can make a very strong argument for the Chiefs. With Mahomes playoff record, with all the elements of the momentum, the national media behind them, which creates a little bit more energy. The whole Taylor Swift, Travis Kelsey thing, and just and Andy Reid. You can make a very, very strong argument there. Then, conversely, you can make an argument that this Baltimore defense is unbelievable. That Lamar is Lamar, and Lamar deserves to win a Super Bowl. There are so many things, so many ways to analyze the game that I think it's very easy for a football fan to have an opinion. Which, if it's easy to have an opinion, you're going to see some great right. You're going to see some great handle. So I expect to have a lot of action on the game. From a Circa Sports perspective, we're a bit in a position where the Ravens to win the AFC is a bad outcome for us. The Ravens to win the Super Bowl is a very bad outcome for us. So no matter what happens on the betting on the game itself, Circa Sports is going to be a Chiefs fan because there's no way we can get out from the liability that we have built up on the AFC championship or on the Super Bowl on the Ravens.
So what's your prediction?
Well, as I just said, I mean, I'm kind of be hoping for the Chiefs. I do think the Chiefs are live here. I've been actively watching the weather. Weather wasn't much of a handicapping variable 4 or 5 days ago. But now weather is at the forefront because it looks like it's going to rain. Could rain most of the time. Looks like their tight end Andrews from Baltimore is going to be activated. It looks like Baltimore is still going to have a difficult time running the ball. So at this point, when I'm looking at it, if I was making a play, I would rather have Kansas City plus the 4 going into the game.
Okay, now we're getting into sentimental hometown value, but I know as a true sports handicapper, you're not going to let that, whoever you say wherever you go with this prediction on the NFC is truly from what you believe, the statistics, the data, everything points to. So, okay, putting you on the spot, NFC Championship. Tell me about what your thoughts.
Well, first off, to let you know, out of the 4 remaining teams, both to win the conference and to win the Super Bowl, the team that Circa Sports would like the most is the Detroit Lions. Now, that's got nothing to do with me. It has nothing to do with shading anything anyway. That's just the way throughout the course of the year, the way the futures were booked. I think going in back in August, we took some pretty heavy action on Baltimore. And then San Francisco came in and looked like world beaters early in the season. We took a ton of San Francisco money. Uh, you know, Chiefs were never like the most popular pick throughout this year, unlike years past. And then the Lions coming off the year they had last year, even though the odds were long, they weren't long enough to entice the long shot players. So it's just the way that both the AFC, NFC, and then the Super Bowl futures market played out, that the Lions are the team that the house needs. So that aside, from my perspective, I'm going to tell you, I'm cognizant enough that I'm biased that I will not be able to have an objective opinion here. And the reason for that is because I think the Lions are going to kill them. But I'm biased, so that's why I'm not making a selection.
Well, I'll tell you, Derek, I got to agree with you, and I'm going to stick my neck out here as well. I think the books have blown the line here. If you go back, and this is what I'm based my opinion last week, I bet the Green Bay. And I bet more on them at the half when the weather was terrible and they were still given 6.5 at the half. If you look at the San Francisco 49ers and look at their schedule last year, they beat absolutely nobody. Then it looked like they had beat somebody in that they beat the Cowboys significantly and they beat the Eagles. But in the long run, the Eagles and the Cowboys turned out to be kind of duds. So Now I judged, okay, if I'm right about this, well, then Green Bay should have a magnificent performance against San Francisco, which they did. And now you can't even compare Green Bay to Detroit. You can't even compare the two teams. Uh, Detroit, I think, is going to win this game outright. That's my prediction. But with the seven, what is now? It's up to 7.5. Am I right about that? 7.5.
Yeah, you got to shop a little bit. There's some places around the country that are hanging 7.5s. Most places around the country are still hanging sevens. In Nevada, in Vegas, there are no 7.5s, they're just sevens. I do know that DraftKings, so in states that have DraftKings, they are still hanging the 7.5. So if you're in a state with DraftKings, and you like the Lions, I would tell you that that's where you ought to make the play because you're going to get the hook.
I'm a parlay sucker, so I teased the Lions with 8.5 to the money line with the Ravens. And the both of them were big negative numbers, and I came up with a plus number of 163. So I was pretty happy with that. I thought that was a pretty good bet. So I got the Lions 8.5 parlayed to the Ravens on the money line. So we'll see. But I'm rooting for you, Derek. I'll be right in there with on them Lions all the way. Which is it first, the Lions or the Ravens as far as the broadcast? Isn't this the Ravens? No.
Well, the East Coast game, the AFC game is the early game. So at 3 o'clock Eastern, with rain forecast, it'll be Chiefs Ravens, and then at 6:30 Eastern will be Lions at 49ers.
Now, what's the weather supposed to be in San Francisco? It was a horrible last weekend. How about this weekend?
Yeah, last weekend was a terrible, terrible weekend weather-wise in San Francisco. But this weekend looks like weather, no wind effectively, and it should be sunny in the 60s. So no weather at all.
So I guess since okay, just a outside shot that you'll make this prediction. Super Bowl MVP.
Really interesting question. It's become a hot topic. This is kind of a newer bet that previously people used to wait because they had to wait because lines like this weren't posted until you knew who the two teams were. But now we're getting a lot more Super Bowl MVP action going into the week prior to Championship Sunday. So 10 out of the last 14 Super Bowl MVPs have been quarterbacks. So 10 quarterbacks out of the last 14, 4 non-quarterbacks. So let's just look at quarterbacks and cut it up that way. So if the Chiefs win, will it be Mahomes? In all likelihood, the answer would be yes. If the Ravens win, will it be a Lamar? And I would say that's darn near absolute. If it is the Lions, will it be Goff? Well, I don't know. There's a couple of other options there. And if it's the 49ers, will it be Purdy? I don't know about that. I would say that would be unlikely. So as you start cutting it down, if you want to focus in on a quarterback, I would tell you I would focus in on who you think is going to win the Ravens Chiefs game and go with one of those quarterbacks. If you think are looking for something maybe a little longer in odds, I would tell you there's probably a couple of options when you look at the 49ers. Debo is a legit MVP candidate if you go to non-quarterback. I think Brandon Ayuk's a legit MVP potential winner if for the 49ers. And then you never know if something happens with Kittle and he breaks a long run, he gets over 100 yards and scores a couple touchdowns. Kittle very well could be in the mix. So I think there's a couple of options there. On the Detroit side, as crazy it may sound, there's a couple of rookies that you got to put into play. The increase in the targets and the workload for their tight end, Laporta, has been interesting. Laporta could go off and get a couple of touchdowns if the Lions make the Super Bowl. And at the same point in time, you got a rookie in Jahmyr Gibbs who could bust a couple out of the backfield. So I would say, if you're looking for a couple long shots, I gave you a couple of 50 to 80 to 1 shots. And then if you're looking at quarterback, I would say you got to look at Mahomes or Lamar.
Wow, that's a great analogy. The whole mix in that MVP. So, last question. Any props you see this weekend that stand out as uh, great overlays?
Yeah, I saw one. Right now, when you take a look at the 49er Lions game and the 49ers here at Circa Sports, we have them as a 7. You lay in 120, which means you get the Lions at even, plus 7 points at even. Well, I think there's an alternate spread that is of a bit more. I find it to be a bit more interesting. We're hanging at 3.5. San Francisco minus 3.5. So if you look at it on the Lions side, you could pick up 160. And I think I'd rather make a bet on the Lions plus 3.5 plus 160 than the Lions at even plus 7. I'd be willing to give up the 4, the 5, the 6, and a push on a 7 to go from an even bet to plus 160. I think the value on Lions plus 3.5 plus 160 is greater than what the point spread line is at this point.
Wow, there's so much shopping you have to do to really be a proficient at betting, right? I mean, I'm a total amateur, but I love the math and all the new systems that's coming out. To people are just going crazy on this, and sports betting is growing at such a rapid rate. Derek, that and iGaming, it's just going berserk. It's crazy. Well, I want to thank.
You know what I
Yeah,
love? One thing I
yeah.
noticed here from, I'm going back. I'm not from when I met you back at Hard Rock a long, long time ago. I'm not even talking 5 years ago. But the one thing that's really amazing to me, and I've watched this throughout this football season, and in particular in the playoffs, the interest level on wagers that I wouldn't have seen a while back that I'm seeing now, it's different. Consumer is engaging in these games differently. Back a long time ago, you would only get this lengthy set of props on the Super Bowl, and now it's a lot different. Now, I mean, the props on all the games on wild card weekend and divisional weekend last week, and then now this weekend, it's more than what you would have gotten on the Super Bowl 10 years ago. And I think it's just because the demand is so high. I see that the number of people that are coming in, they're going to bet I'm on Ross St. Brown over on yards, or over on receptions, or Kittle over on yards, or Debo over. The interest level on the individual props, I think, is really given a shot of adrenaline into sports betting. And I mean, it's continued to grow, but I think it's bringing in people that maybe weren't necessarily football fans or even sports fans, but all of a sudden they got $100 ticket on, on Gus to get over 38 yards rushing. All of a sudden they're jumping in it and they're watching it. It's pretty amazing dynamic of how great a job the NFL has done and how the sport has grown within our culture.
Oh, no doubt. I think we discussed this the last time we talked last November. I was telling you about the kiosks here in like Pennsylvania. So a guy will print out a ticket and that thing will be like this long and it's full of props and this and movie, anything they'll allow. Sometimes they don't allow you to mix things up, but here it seems like, and these guys are betting a quarter, 15 cents, but it ends up being huge money. I mean, in the long run, the books are definitely seeing a lot of action, Derek, and it's crazy. It's really crazy. I mean, I'm sure there's values out there that get missed and you can take advantage of, but in the long run, I think the books are going to make out with all this new interest. It's got to pay off in the long run. So Derek, again, thank you for your time. I appreciate you coming and on the show and giving us this look into this weekend's play. And man, I can't tell you guys enough. I'll put the website address up here. Get in there, book your next trip at Circa Las Vegas. If you can honestly say to me it was bad, you didn't like it, you come back and tell the B man. I might. Well, I'm not going to refund your money, but I would think about it. Okay, so Derek, any last words?
No, great to see you, and I hope to see some of the be in the know fans down at Circa some point down the road. So good to see you, Benny.
All right, Derek. Thanks for being on. Everybody, remember to like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff, and we'll see you on the next Be in the Know.